Okay, so where did we end up last week? With Duryodhana falling down, isn't it? All right, so just quick recap of last week. Uh, so happens that Duryodhana is recovering under the lake, and the Pandavas find him. He's coaxed to come and fight with one of the Pandavas. He chooses Bhima. Balrama just arrives in the middle of a battle scene. He wants to tell his stories about his pilgrimage. He does that. And once that's done, then the battle begins between Bhima and Duryodhana. Fierce battle. And then this goes on for a while, and Arjuna asks Krishna who's going to win. Krishna says that Duryodhana and Bhima have the same skills. Bhima is a little stronger, but Duryodhana has more practice, so it is quite likely, or he will win the battle. So he asks Arjuna to remind Bhima of the vow he took about breaking Duryodhana's thighs, which Arjuna does. Okay, and then in one of the maneuvers, Bhima actually breaks Duryodhana's thighs and then stomps on his head because he's still angry with Duryodhana for everything that happened to Draupadi. Balrama is not happy and he wants to kill Bhima. But Krishna then stops him and tells him about the promises that Bhima made in breaking his thighs. He also reminds Balrama that there was a Rishi Maitreyi who curses Duryodhana that he will face this day where Bhima will break his thigh. So put together, nothing has gone wrong. This is meant to happen. Balrama leaves immediately. He doesn't want to partake in any more of that battle. Pandavas then return to the camp. Krishna suggests that they don't stay at the camp that night, and they are at the banks of a river that night. Krishna, the following morning, leaves for Hastinapur, and he conveys the message to Dhritarashtra and Gandhari as a messenger of Yudhishthira, where he explains the death of all the Kauravas and how he had foretold this in the court at the beginning. So Dhritarashtra should welcome the Pandavas. And then he realized something is going to go wrong. So he leaves back to the battlefield. Okay, so I think that's where we ended last time. Now, here what happens is Duryodhana is on the floor, bleeding, and in a lot of pain. After the Pandavas leave, Ashwatthama, Kritavarma, and Kripacharya, they come to see him. When they come to see him, Ashwatthama is very sad. He's very angry at the Pandavas. And he takes a pledge to kill all the Panchalas. Panchalas are Draupadi's family and their kin. Why? Because he's still angry about Drishtadyumna killing Drona. So Ashwatthama wants to kill all the Panchalas. So he promises Duryodhana is going to do it. Then what happens is Duryodhana says, okay, I'm really happy that you feel that way. How about I make you the next commander, last commander? Okay. He asks Kripacharya to get some water and they performs the rituals, and Ashwatthama is made the commander-in-chief. The army comprised of Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, and Kritavarma. That's it. And they leave that place. They want to fight with the Pandava army. But that day, they are not sure of what's going on, how they will fight the battle. and they're scared of the massive Pandava army over there. They're away from the camp. They go into a forest close by and decide they're going to stay there for the night, and then the next day they will plan an attack. But that night something surprising happens. There is Ashwatthama is quite angry. He's in rage. He wants to kill Drishtadyumna. He wants to kill the Panchalas. He wants to destroy the Pandavas. He's in rage. He can't sleep. Kripacharya tells him, "You need to sleep." Okay, so the next morning we can get up and go and challenge the Pandavas for the battle. He does not listen. So then he's pacing up and down. He sees an owl that comes here and perches on top of the trees in the forest. And not far from where he is, he sees a big group of crows. Okay, and they're all day animals, right? Day birds. Owl is the one that stays up at night. He sees how the owl then attacks all the birds. It attacks every one of the birds that's there, and there's flesh, there's feathers, there's everything around fallen all over the ground over there. This gives Ashwatthama a plan. He now goes and wakes up Kripacharya and Kritavarma and says, "I'm going to kill the sleeping Panchalas and the Pandavas and all." Then Kripacharya stops him. He says, "This is not Dharma. You can't do it. Uh, you look at Bhima himself, who's done all the wrong things, and today where he is. I don't want you also to suffer the same fate. So you need to really take rest." Ashwatthama says, "Well, they've done the wrong thing by my father. They've done the wrong thing by Karna, Bhishma, and all. So I can't really look at it that way. I have to take my vengeance. I have to kill all of them." So a little bit of conversation back and forth with Ashwatthama and Kripacharya, and finally Ashwatthama says, "You guys stay here. I'll go on my own, and I'm going to kill all of them." And he takes off. Kripacharya and Kritavarma then follow him. Now, when Ashwatthama reaches the gates of the camp of the Pandavas, where they're actually camping at the Kaurava army, they see a huge figure. Okay, this figure is more like a monster, right? And the description goes something like this: he's a gigantic being guarding the gate, dressed in tiger skin with blood flowing from the tiger skin. Okay, the upper garment is made of antelope skin, and there's a snake that is like a sacred thread. You know, the Brahmins wear the thread around their body, so that's a snake. He has big arms and many kinds of weapons in his hands. There's a snake around his arm as an armlet. There's fire coming out of the mouth. Okay, and there's like terrible fangs in the mouth. He's ornamented very beautifully. There's a lot of ornaments on him. Okay, then there's flames coming out of the mouth, but now it's coming out of the eyes and the ears also. Then there's another thing that he sees Vishnu coming out of a number of Vishnu images coming out of the flames of the mouth, from the ears and nose. And Ashwatthama is really scared here. He remembers what Kritavarma said. He says, "Oh, I should listen to, sorry, not Kritavarma, Kripacharya. I should listen to Kripacharya. He warned me that no good deed will come out of this." So immediately he sits down over there and he starts praying to Lord Shiva. Immediately, when he starts praying to Lord Shiva, in front of him, a small, actually a large havan comes up. Havan is it's like a fire pit, okay, where we do puja, homa, that sort of thing. So that sort of fire pit appears in front of him, and it's made of gold. And then a raging fire From this raging fire, he sees a lot of different creatures coming out, some animals and so on. And he's really shocked. He doesn't know how to respond to it. He decides that it is time for him to die, and that is why all this is happening. So what he does is he starts walking towards the fire, and he's about to jump when Lord Shiva appears in front of him. Okay, and he says, "You are not meant to die right now. I was here because my dearest, which is Krishna, he's here. Okay, it is for him that I have been guarding the gates of here. Now the time has come for you to continue doing what you are meant to do." Okay, and he gives Ashwatthama a sword. He also gives him some of his own energy, Lord Shiva. Okay, actually, I forgot. Uh, when the creature appears in front of him, I was telling the Lord Vishnu coming out of the flames and all, he's scared and he wants to fight. So he uses every weapon that he has, his sword, his astras, everything, and everything is swallowed by the big creature. And that's when he sits down to pray. I forgot about that one thing. That's when he's very scared and he sits down to pray. Sorry. Anyway, coming back to the uh, place where he's given a weapon by Lord Shiva, and some of Lord Shiva's energy enters into him. With that little energy, he now becomes radiant. The description is like he's become radiant like the sun. He's not recognizable. His hair is like standing out, and he's looking more like death himself. Okay, here uh, Ashwatthama is very angry with Drishtadyumna, if you remember, for killing his father. So the first thing he does is he quickly runs to Drishtadyumna's tent and he kicks him. Who's asleep? Drishtadyumna falls off. Okay, and then he keeps kicking him and mercilessly kills him, slaughters him. Okay, Drishtadyumna is trying to fight back, but he can't do anything, and he kills Drishtadyumna. Listening to the sounds from Drishtadyumna's tent, the other soldiers and all come out. Okay, and what he does is he starts killing everyone that comes in front of him. That night he's unstoppable. Listening to all these screams, he's killing all the Panchalas. Okay, he's starting to kill all the Panchalas. Listening to all the screams, Draupadi's 5 sons, one after another, they come to fight with him. First Yudhishthira's son, he's killed. Then Bhima's son. Then Nakula's son. Nakula's son, he just beheads him. And then Sahadeva's son. And then Arjuna's son. All of them are killed mercilessly. Okay. Then Shikandi comes. Shikandi, when he's battling with him, all Ashwatthama does is swings his sword and he severs Shikandi in half. Shikandi is now in two pieces and he dies then and there. So he's so merciless and he's killing all the other soldiers that are coming in front of him. There are others that are so fearful are running away. Now guess what? Kritavarma and Kripacharya have followed Ashwatthama, right? They are at the gates. They are now inspired by Ashwatthama. And everyone that's trying to escape from the gates, they are killing them. So finally, a major portion of the Pandava army is completely destroyed. All the Panchalas are killed. Okay, and they leave that night back to where Duryodhana is, and Ashwatthama then narrates everything. He says, "Look, this is what we did tonight. We've killed all the Pandavas. Unfortunately, they could not find the Pandavas. Guess what? Krishna on the previous night had asked them to sleep elsewhere and not in the camp. So he was kind of protecting them. And if you remember from last episode, he actually leaves Hastinapur thinking something is going to go bad. He didn't want the Pandavas harmed, so he comes and he visits the Pandavas. Now,
What? Are you kidding me?
yes, I can hear you. Okay, so here, where was I? Sorry, lost. All right. So here, Ashwatthama tells Duryodhana everything that happened. Duryodhana is quite happy, and he says, "Oh, Ashwatthama, now I'll meet you in heaven." And he dies over there. Yes, Sanjay is also viewing this. At this moment, Sanjaya loses his abilities to see things like he used to. The gift that he had, he loses that. So that's the end of Sauptika Parva. Okay. Here, Ashwatthama, Kripacharya, and Kritavarma, they're scared what the Pandavas will do because Krishna is with them, and they run away from there. Okay. That morning, Drishtadyumna's charioteer, he finds he survives the attack the previous night, and he finds Yudhishthira and goes and narrates everything that happened. Yudhishthira is on the floor crying, sobbing, and he can't control himself. He tells, "We fought a war for what? What is the result of this?" And then Krishna tells him, "What has to happen has happened." And what happened by then is Nakula also brings Draupadi to the camp, to where the Pandavas are. She is distraught. She's crying profusely. She's very angry with Ashwatthama. And she starts taking comfort in Bhima. Bhima, who's very concerned for her, he's very close to her. He's speaking to her, and she tells him, "I need you to kill Ashwatthama and bring his jewel." So Ashwatthama, when he's born with a jewel on his forehead. So she tells, "I want that jewel to be on Yudhishthira's crown. So I want you to kill him and bring him." So immediately Bhima leaves. He takes his chariot and he leaves. And then Krishna notices that Bhima has left. Immediately he tells Yudhishthira, "Yudhishthira, we need to follow Bhima." Now you don't know much about Drona's son Ashwatthama. I'll tell you a little bit about him. Okay, and even this particular thing that even Arjuna will vouch for it. So when Arjuna was training with Dronacharya, right? Dronacharya gave Arjuna a special weapon. Okay, it's called a Brahmashira. Now that weapon he only gave Arjuna and no one else. Ashwatthama came to know, and he kept harassing his father to give him that knowledge. So finally, his father Drona gave up and uh, gave in to him and gave him the knowledge of the Brahmashira. Okay, all because Ashwatthama just wanted it. He wanted to be better than Arjuna. That's all there was. And then Krishna further tells Yudhishthira, there is more to this. There was a time when Ashwatthama and Drona visited me once when I was in Dwaraka. When Ashwatthama visited me, he wanted to see my weapons. Okay, and he asked me uh, for my weapons in exchange for the Brahmashira. He tells him, Ashwatthama told Lord Krishna, "I have this Brahmashira. This is a very powerful weapon," and he explains what it is. And he says, "I'll give it to you. I'll give you the knowledge if you give me one of your weapons." So Lord Krishna says, "Okay," and he places all his weapons in front. He places his mace, his chakra, his sword, etc. over there, and he says, "You pick what you want, but I don't want any of your weapons. You can take what you want of mine." So immediately Ashwatthama goes to the chakra. and he tries to pick up the chakra with one with his left hand. He can't move that chakra, the Sudarshan chakra. Then he tries with the right. He's not able to move it. He tries with both hands. He's not able to move that either. Okay, does everything in his power to do it. He can't. Then Krishna, when he gives up, Krishna tells, "You're a foolish man. All right. I don't know why you asked me. All right. Arjuna, who's close to me, he's never asked me about my weapons. My own brother Balrama has never asked me. My own sons, Pradyumna, Samna, they haven't asked me for the weapons. Why did you ask me for the weapons?" Okay. So then Ashwatthama said, okay, Krishna, I'll be honest with you. You are the most powerful king, most powerful person here. If I defeat you, if I can defeat you or if I can kill you, then I will gain the respect as the most powerful warrior on the land. Okay, that was the reason he wanted the Sudarshan Chakra. And Krishna says, this cruel guy, he wanted to use my own weapon against me. Ashwatthama is very cruel. Okay, he's evil, and right now he's angry. He can do anything. If he uses that Brahmashira weapon against Bhima, he will die. Not only that, he will destroy all the Pandavas too. We need to go immediately. Follow him. So they all follow Bhima. When they actually Bhima comes to know that he's gone in a certain direction, and they go. There is at the banks of the river Ganga, Ved Vyasa is sitting with some of the other rishis. Okay, Ashwatthama, who's scared of the Pandavas, he goes and hides among the rishis. Bhima goes there and he spots him, and he immediately announces, "Oh Ashwatthama, I am here to kill you." Ashwatthama is so scared, immediately he pulls out a blade of grass and he starts reciting the mantra for the Brahmashira weapon. Okay, and he hurls it. Fortunately for him, Krishna, Arjuna, who have come with Yudhishthira and Nakula and Sahadeva, they have come and they are right, very close to Bhima. Immediately, Krishna tells Arjuna, "Arjuna, you need to counter that. You have the knowledge how to do it." So immediately, Arjuna does the same. Okay, when this happens, Vedvyasa is there, him and Narada. They come in between and stand in between the weapons and divert them. And immediately Vedvyasa says, "Oh Arjuna, please take your weapon back. If you don't, this weapon will destroy, if it continues, if these two weapons continue, they will destroy the entire planet. And if it doesn't, worst case, it will even, at least for 12 years, there will be complete famine in the entire planet. Okay, so you need to withdraw your weapon." So immediately Arjuna withdraws the weapon. Okay, and he explains, "Look, I did it only so his weapon does not hurt anyone. It was just a countermeasure as per Krishna's advice." So immediately Vedvyasa says to Ashwatthama, "Ashwatthama, now you need to pull your weapon back." And he says, "I don't know how to do it." Ashwatthama says, "I don't know how to do it and I don't want to do it. I meant to kill the Pandavas and that's what it has to do." Vedvyasa says, "That's not going to happen. Pull back your weapon." Okay. And now he sees Krishna with the Pandavas and he knows that as long as Krishna is there, the Pandavas cannot be hurt. So he redirects the arrow and he says it's going to kill all the Pandavas' future kids. Now, at this time, what happens is Uttara, who's Abhimanyu's wife, Virata's daughter, she's pregnant. Okay, and he directs that arrow towards her womb. Then Krishna tells immediately, he tells, "Oh Ashwatthama, you're so evil. You think you can kill the Pandavas' only grandchild? That is not going to happen. I will protect the child. Not only will the child be protected, he will be born and he will live for another 60 years before he dies. He will rule with dharma. He will learn everything from great rishis and all that, and he will live a dharmic life and he will be fine. So you cannot really kill the Pandava clan. Okay, and you're so cruel. You really need to give that jewel. Ved Vyasa says the same thing. You need to give that jewel now. And Krishna tells him, for what you have done, okay, the evil deeds you have done, you will roam the earth for 3,000 years. You will not have any company. No one will come close to you. You will not have anyone help you. You will be ridden with diseases, all sorts of diseases, and no one will be there to help you. Okay, go away. That's your punishment for the cruel deeds you have performed in the last night and what you have done now. Okay, and so he has no choice, but he gives in to Ved Vyasa's and Krishna's demand. He pulls out the jewel from his forehead and is bleeding. Okay, and he gives it to Lord Krishna. Krishna gives it to Bhima, and Bhima comes and gives it to Draupadi. Draupadi says, I did not have any animosity towards Ashwatthama, but I needed him punished for what he's done to my kids. And she gives the jewel to Yudhishthira and tells him to put it on the ground. So I'll stop here unless you have any questions.